Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still out on assignment. I'm not just getting it. He has promised me that he will show up in that ATL. We'll see what that looks like. With that being said, welcome to episode 468 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. We just call it HBCU sports pedagogy for short. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We are filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Charles, how you doing today?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. Finals week. I think everybody is getting the finals done and whatnot this week. If they're not already done and had the graduation ceremonies, but got Celebration Bowl this upcoming week. So looking forward to heading over to Atlanta tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get you on the big bird and we'll get in Atlanta. We'll get down there when the teams are arriving, coaches are arriving. Early, that's the way we like to do it and make sure we get to touch all the sceneries and be able to report from all sides what that looks like. Obviously, you have the opening dinner they have tomorrow, celebration dinner on Thursday. They have the walkthrough practices on Friday. So many different things that go on. They get to go by some of the places to provide goodwill as teams and players of the Celebration Bowl. As they land tomorrow off the buses, coming off the planes, they'll actually have a welcoming committee that welcomes them into the hotel. They're at the Omni. We're staying at the Omni, where we'll be right in the thick of things and make sure you get everything and excited. The thing that I'm excited to announce about this year, we are really taking the next step to make sure you get some inside information. On Thursday, we will do a special edition of the Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We will be doing it from inside the Omni in their sports restaurant there, right between the two towers. We'll be in there ready to go. That will be 10 o'clock a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we plan to give you 2 hours of great shows in production with that. So we're excited about that. We will still give you your regular show that evening, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, where we'll be back in the mix. Also of note, obviously, you got the ONG Strike Zone you need to check out on Wednesday, right here on BCSN. But on Saturday, I'm excited to announce that we will be doing a pregame. The pregame will be inside the stadium. So we'll get you some early indications of what it looks like on inside. That will be for us. We'll do a 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be in there and give you about an hour's worth of pregame hype intro as folks adjust in terms of teams just arriving with their preparation. We'll give you some of that feed and get you lathered up and ready for this big game of Howard Bison out of the MEAC, Florida A&M Rattlers out of the SWAC. Big time matchup. I have it ranked number 1 and number 2. I'll tell you that now. The polls will be frozen. We'll touch on that. So we look forward to all this coverage that the BCSN will give you this weekend, including what we're doing right here on Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. So we're setting you up for we get ready. Charles, have you packed your bags?
We have a bag that's open right now. We're in the process of packing, so we're gonna make sure we get that knocked out all this afternoon. I'm a notorious procrastinator. Nobody likes to pack, but especially when you take a look at the number of events that we might be at. I'm doing what you call situational packing, so I want to make sure I have something for each event that we either cover or get to. So.
That's the thing. Now that we're doing all this extra stuff, I like to be in at least my suit jacket. So I got to try to take these extra suits. I can't be wearing the same jacket multiple times on the show. So it gets a little more challenging bringing this up stuff. And you know me, Charles, I'm notorious. I like to not checking my bag. So I'm trying to arrange to make sure I can get this done.
Gotta check a bag this time.
I don't know. I'm going to see if they allow me to figure it out. So we'll see how that goes. With that being said, we believe we have a good one for you as we get going. Let's get into some news. Not a lot of news in terms of football, but some things off the bat. Obviously, I'll take this first one in regards to this unfortunate news update we have to provide. You've all heard by now in terms of Norfolk State, the men's basketball program was playing Illinois State. Really a good game contest. They were doing what they do, being very competitive, had the lead and playing it out. And so I don't even want to call them fans because that's not what fan is. We know fanatics is about supporting your team, but get to the point where you feel comfortable enough to use racial epithets, let you know that you're in a whole different framework. Yes, hopefully for some degree it was students, which means they can learn this, but tough that other students that are playing the game have to deal with that in terms of their maturity about that. So we have a response from the president, President Adams Gaston, and the Norfolk State Director of Athletics, Melody Webb, Norfolk State Student Athlete Staff Administration putting out there. NSU statement regarding treatment of student athletes during men's basketball game against Illinois State University. The following statements from Norfolk State University President Javon Adams Gaston and Norfolk State Director of Athletics Melody Webb. Quote, we are profoundly disappointed at the events that transpired during the men's basketball game yesterday at Illinois State University where racial epithets were shouted at our student athletes. We are at a critical time in the nation and world as it relates to race relations, and any type of hate speech or language is unacceptable. This type of behavior and language has no place in society or in athletic competition. College athletics is rooted in sportsmanship, camaraderie, and exhibiting school pride. We appreciate Coach Jones for standing up for student athletes, and we commend our student athletes for exhibiting restraint during a stressful ordeal. Our student athletes followed in the footsteps of the late Bill Russell, basketball great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar during the collegiate careers, and successfully played through racial slurs meant to traumatize and disrupt them. Our students remain Spartan strong, but it's not something that they should have to overcome during an athletic event in 2023. We are so proud of our team maintaining a competitive game, a spectacular performance for a win against Illinois State University. We have heard from the president and athletic director of Illinois State University. They have stated that the behavior shown to our student athletes at Horton Field House is not representative of their institution, and they will fully investigate this incident. We acknowledge their apology and look forward to hearing the results of their investigation, end quote. So that was a statement there after all culminating, well stated by Norfolk State University and the leadership there. Any thoughts that you have on that, Charles?
I think the statement itself touched on the importance here of not condoning this sort of behavior. It's just 2023. We're not going to deal with racial epithets of any sort in a sporting context. I mean, it's silly, it's ridiculous, and I'm glad that they've called attention to it. especially in regards to Coach Jones standing up for his player, and letting them know that we're not going to have it. So I'm really appreciative of the way that they've gone about handling this situation. Illinois State, the jury's out on how they've gone about handling it, to be quite honest with you. I'm not happy with the way that they've their initial response to it or anything of that nature. And it seems as though they are sort of trying to answer on the rebound, which is not the way to go about doing this. So I'm appreciative for the stance that Norfolk State has taken.
Apropos talking about rebound, great point. With that being said, let's move on to some more exciting news, if you would. Good news, I would say. What else do you have to share?
Well, big news, and this happened today at Southern University. They have named Terrence Graves as their new head football coach. So kudos to Coach Terrence Graves, a longtime veteran of the SWAC, a longtime veteran coach. After 30 years, he gets his opportunity now to head the Southern football team. So I want to definitely say kudos out there to Terrence Graves.
Kudos to Terrence Graves. I must admit, a couple people asked me, and they were wondering would he get an opportunity, and I did not think so. So credit to him. Credit to Southern University. I feel that he is the right person to lead the program. I did hear from B.J. Jones that this may happen. He was thinking it would be more likely on an interim bracing, but that is not the case. So good to see you again. Congratulations, Coach Graves. Interesting to see what this looks like, which means now in terms of Division I FCS, we have two programs still out there, Grambling State University, as well as Texas Southern University. Be interesting to see what that looks like. We just heard that a committee was announced for Grambling, so it seems like they may extend this a little bit. I think Texas Southern is coming to a close, right, which should pique your interest to some degree what that looks like. So I'm fascinating in a lot of ways to see where this may go as things move forward from that standpoint. Obviously, you still also have Morehouse out there. I've heard some direction of where that's going. I heard there may be some talks, some negotiation. Somebody I'm aware about. And so it'll be interesting to see if they can come to a close and get that done as things move forward. A lot of things going on at Morehouse in terms of them moving their program forward. So it'll be interesting when it's appropriate to make those announcements. Some people have probably heard some of the rumors out there in terms of what that looks like. We'll see how accurate that may be. Lastly, before we go into this first break, SWAC announced a Student Athlete Enhancement Initiative. SWAC has announced the creation of SWAC Student Athlete Enhancement Initiative. The SWAC Council of Presidents and Chancellors unanimously approved the implementation of the initiative at the league's recent held winter meetings. The conference office is set to distribute a total of $4.8 million in funding for the initiative, which will be allocated to league member institutions over the course of the next 4 upcoming academic years. The SWAC Student Athlete Enhancement Initiative will include funding for the continued implementation of enhanced student athlete support services in the areas of academics, sports medicine, and sports information. Additionally, member institutions' athletic departments can use the funds to help support student athletes' mental health initiatives, cover costs of attendance allowances, and assist in covering Alston cash awards for academic achievement. Lastly, quote, the SWAC Student Athletes Enhancement Initiative will positively assist our league membership with their collective pursuit of academic and student athlete support services excellence, end quote, said SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McCullum. Quote, we're extremely excited to implement this historic initiative that will undoubtedly assist our member institutions with the enhancing the overall academic, educational, and professional development of our student athletes that attend our institution, end quote. Very excited in terms of what this may go. And anytime you have additional money that supports college athletes in various ways, I think that's big, particularly in this time where mental health is really at the top of where a lot of folks need to be focusing on. In fact, the SWAC is able to do that. I think there's some big time news. Obviously, South Carolina State welcomes veteran Cochran Berry to lead roles at Bulldogs Athletics. South Carolina State President Alexander Conyers has announced the employment A new athletic director and head football coach, South Carolina State alumnus, Dr. Nathan Cochran, will lead the Department of Athletics as athletic director, and Chennis Berry will join the Bulldogs as head football coach. Both are excited. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. With that being said, let's get into our first break and come on the other side. We'll be back to give you an update.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients. Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
This is Brian Fulford. A.B. Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach.
This is Dr. Will with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Executive Director of the MEAC SWAC Challenge and Cricket Celebration Bowl that will be played this Saturday. He's also has the ESPN HBCU Band Championship that is on Friday. So, man, a lot going on, a lot of pieces. You always find a way to add some new things to this event. Before I do that, I do want to say you can go back and check out on BCSN Sports Wrap as they give a little more detail going into all the things that we talked about in terms of Norfolk State and Illinois State. So you can go check that out. That being said, let's get into some of the talk about Cricket Celebration Bowl this weekend. I'm excited. Bags packed. Man, we got some prime time. We'll be doing a show Thursday. But John, you got a lot going on. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Good to see you, Charles, and good to see you, Dr. Cavil. I just saw you a few days ago, and happy to be back with you guys again.
Yeah, I want to let you know. Want to let you know earlier you were the answer to one of my test questions today on my finals for my students. So I just want to put that out there for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I feel honored. I've made a test somewhere.
No, yes, you'll be honored if they pass the question. They'll pass the question.
They had a big paper to write on the Celebration Bowl, so that I made sure that they knew everything that would be going on this upcoming weekend. So I want to make sure we got that in there. So awesome. I'm sure my students are watching. So.
Well, that is awesome, Charles, and I honored that you have them do some research on this, because it's important, I think, to embed what we're doing into the next generation for them to continue to carry the torch and understand it. So, my hat's off to you.
Oh, appreciate
Texas Southern University Sports Management Program, the only program across the country that has embedded a history of HBCU sports within the program, where you get history on the course, modern and past, including what Charles does in a lot of ways, where he's actually putting in there a major paper on the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Just think about that. Now that's talking about how you change the landscape of sport management for the next generation. Well done, Charles. Well done.
Well done, my friend.
No doubt, no doubt. Appreciate that.
We're still gonna charge you tomorrow.
Right. That's not gonna change.
No, you still gonna get it up. You the youngest. It's the rite of passage.
Right.
John Grant, as we get into, we love to have fun, but I know your time is very valuable. So let's get into some of this conversation. Everybody knows by now, you got a fascinating matchup when you talk about Howard Bison coming out of the MEAC, getting the huge win over North Carolina Central. That was, frankly, number 1 or 2 most of the year. It looked like they would be having a repeat opportunity to come back to the Celebration Bowl to see if they could do it again and then hold up the trophy for a national HBCU championship. Well, the Bison had different thoughts on it. Big upset, left no questions as they put 50 points on them, actually going for 2, which people are still talking about to this day. But we'll wait until in the summer when they come back to get the third iteration of what that looks like, because people forget the year before, Central put 50 on Howard, which may have been a little bit of the twist in terms of that matchup. Well, they will face Florida A&M. Florida A&M, as they open up the season, they got the big win that a lot of people were questioning against Jackson State University. That was the previous representative for the Celebration Bowl the previous 2 years. So now you have this big-time matchup with the Rattlers against the Bison. They had played historically over the years as members of the MEAC, but now there's something on the line in terms of a championship. Start with there for us and tell us your excitement about this particular matchup in 2023.
Well, I don't think we could have. Well, first of all, my hat's off and congratulations to, to both institutions, because I mean, what a season we had this year in HBCU college football. Though, like you indicated, that many thought that this game would be Florida A&M taking on North Carolina Central, but as you said, Howard had other ideas, and they had a team that I don't think a lot of people were really paying attention to. And so we're really pleased that you got 2 international brands, HBCU brands in this game. Both of them here for the first time, and both of them representing their conference as champions. They both have great fan bases, and we're seeing that right now in ticket sales. So I'm telling people now, if you wait much longer, you'll be on the outside looking in. So please make sure you go. We opened up a few more tickets just today to make sure we're accommodating people. So we're really excited. There's a lot of buzz, not only in Atlanta, but I'm getting calls from all over the country from people who are really excited about this year's game.
No doubt. Charles, did you want to follow up?
Yeah, I actually wanted to follow up on that because actually a very simplistic question that one of my students asked in class was, well, why Atlanta as the host city for the Celebration Bowl? And I was sort of telling them sort of the history of Atlanta, especially in regards to HBCU football. And you have been at the forefront of that history for quite some time. And just you mentioned the international brands of Howard and FAMU, but talk a little bit more on that in regards to just the amount of alumni that both brands have in Atlanta and surrounding areas.
Well, thank you. That's a great question, Charles, and a very astute student to ask that question. Atlanta has more HBCU alumni chapters than any other city in the nation here. But also what people don't know, Atlanta also has more just alumni chapters even of PWI institutions than any other city. So this is a very broad and diverse place, and in terms of the number of alumni from HBCUs that are here. Number 2, why this is great, I mean, all the direct flights to heaven come from Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. So you don't have to connect anywhere to get here. And so it's an easy city, but geographically also, Atlanta and Georgia sits right in the middle. It's like in the hip pocket of both the MEAC and the SWAC conference. So easy to get into. great place to be, history for HBCUs. And I think the most important thing is, from my vantage point, it's a huge television market. And so that's one of the key factors to having that game here. And you've got a world-class venue with Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
And I imagine that television market is also special in terms of its college attachment in a lot of ways.
Well, you added another point to that, Dr. Cavil, because Atlanta is somewhat branded as the college capital of the South. When you think about big games and big moments, we're the only city in 2025 that will have hosted the college football playoff championship game twice. You've got one of the CFP rotation bowls here. You got the SEC championship here. You got the Cricket Celebration Bowl here that opens the bowl season in this market. So very, very much and of course we're surrounded with powerhouses in the SEC and ACC, just up the road with Clemson, and just to the south of us with Florida State. So it's just a prime location, and people love coming here. It is the number one. Atlanta is also the number one travel destination for African Americans in the country.
Didn't realize that. Great nugget there. Yeah. Headquarters of the SIAC in terms of Division II HBCU programs, which obviously will have a chance to be added into the mix when you look at those programs that were fighting for what I refer to as the mid-major programs for the ESPN Battle of the Bands. In terms of that, it's called Division II, I believe is the nomenclature you use, although there will be an NIA program participating with Florida Memorial and Virginia State out of CIAA, just to share the expansiveness that you put on the table. I think it's interesting when you talk about it being right in the middle, because I've talked about a long time about the need to stick that flag in Atlanta as the demarcation. This game with the MEAC SWAC Challenge and the Celebration Bowl does that, obviously playing there with the MEAC being able to lead that in a lot of ways. But it's fascinating to see when you think about the AUC Center or what that may mean in terms of moving forward. But before we get too lost in the sauce and all that kind of expansion talk, as we do have students that Charles is hazing in regards to the final examinations before they leave for the break. Well, let's get back to some of this Cricket Celebration Bowl. Talk about some of the events, particularly since you added one major event that many people, but I'm sure there are a lot of other things that have been going on that people can continue to enjoy, and maybe a couple of more new ones in addition to the Friday night event.
Well, for us, I think we always start with the premise that the key purpose for us with the Cricket Celebration Bowl is to focus on providing a world-class experience, second to none experience for the student athlete. So about 90+% of what we do is around creating the experience for the athlete and making sure that they have a wonderful experience because they've earned the opportunity to get here. So, we have a welcome event for them on Wednesday when they arrive at the World of Coca-Cola, which is a top-notch event, their first experience in town, and they get to check into the hotel here at the Omni, which is a top-notch first-class hotel for them. And then on certainly Thursday, we have a series of events with the NFL. Again, a lot of this is focused toward the student athlete, but I think it's important for fans to know what these young athletes are experiencing. And that's with careers in the NFL off the field, so that they can get to understand that, hey, there are a lot of opportunities if you love the game to be close to the game, to work in the game, and not necessarily that you have to be on the field to do so. We have financial education for them as well, with our partner with Truist as well as Visa. Visa has this wonderful thing called financial football. It is outstanding. The players love it, playing the game, but also you're playing while learning. So you have to answer questions to advance the ball with the next play, financial related questions. So that's really a wonderful thing. They enjoy that. Touring the College Football Hall of Fame, they get to do that, and players get to love that. College Ball Hall of Fame has an entire section that they built out about 2 years ago, dedicated specifically to HBCUs. And that's a wonderful part of the tour for them there. And then, of course, on Friday, they get to actually make their first appearance into the stadium where we have it all dressed, and they really get to walk in and see it for the first time, fully lighted, fields painted, and the whole 9 yards, for them there. Now, for the fans, we have we focus primarily on our pregame fan experience, which is going to be really fantastic this year, right outside the stadium on Saturday. You mentioned earlier a new event that we've added, but I do have to correct Dr. Cavil, because this is not a battle of the bands. This is the band of the year. Battle of the Bands are wonderful, and we've had great traditions with them, but they are invitationals and showcases. And that is certainly great to showcase our HBCU marching band, but this is a competition. You have to earn your way into it, as you well know, season-long competition to get here. And we have, and that competition sort of flushes out, just like with football, your absolute best who earned their right here with Florida Memorial, with the Division II/NAIA, Florida Memorial, NAIA, Virginia State in the CIAA Division II. And then, of course, in Division I, you got North Carolina A&T and again, Sonic Boom of the South, Jackson State, going head-to-head against each other. And we're going to crown 2 national champions. Division I and a Division II/NAIA champion will come out of that event. And we're really excited about that one. A lot of motivation. You know what I love about it? When we drive around town now, we even have street bands that have Band of the Year on. And so to be able to introduce this, we hope is going to be a pivotal moment, for a defining moment for HBCU, for our HBCU bands and the economics around our HBCU bands and how they go to market, and also providing another platform for young people to compete. Whether you're playing music or you're an athlete on the field, they are musical athletes, as I call them. But now they get to compete and put their absolute best out there every time, knowing that there's a championship ring out there at the end of the road.
Man, I love the way that you put that. As we've done the last couple of years, taking the vernacular that they use in marching sport and explaining it, competition, the athletic component of what's taking place, winner. And ultimately, as you said, there will be a trophy that will be held in the hands of those that win on Friday. And then again, you see it on Saturday. So as you said, the teams earn it, unlike what we've seen maybe with some of the concerns in the other areas that people have been concerned with. It's a little different. You got to win your conference. You got to win the competition throughout the year for the Band of the Year championship. So it'll be fascinating. With that being said, let's take our second break. See if we can get John to stay on the other side and give us a little more time. We'll beg and plead for that and make sure we negotiate that later during the break. And we'll see if we can convince him to come back, give us another 15-minute segment. With that, stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, we have none other than John Grant, Executive Director of the MEAC SWAC Challenge Celebration Bowl, and the Band of the Year now. ESPN Band of the Year is his name. Wow. With all that being said, man, it's amazing. Now, last 2 years, actually, you had to deal with Coach Prime. And there were a lot of attachment celebrities, if you want to use that framework, attached, requesting. Everybody wanted to be on the field. Now, it's claimed out there, and you said it, international brand, so I'll leave it that way, that you have Florida A&M, Howard University, a lot of attachment, entertainers, a lot of big brands, might even sneak into politics with some of those as well. Has your request, if you would, for your sideline passes or to be in the building, how are you handling it?
You always ask a great question because that's a good one. We do have, we've seen a lot of interest in this game. I think, again, coming back to the brands that we have, a lot of celebrity interest because, of course, you got that with Howard. You also have that with Florida A&M, a lot of celebrities connected there. So there are going to be some surprise guests at this event. I failed to mention a little earlier because during our Band of the Year, Jermaine Dupri is going to be our halftime performer for the Band of the Year competition. So we're excited about him. He can't wait to come. And then the other thing that we've done is D. Miles, who is a multi-Grammy winning producer. Works with Bruno Mars. As a matter of fact, they're in the studio now. And one of the songs that he produced for Bruno that everyone knows is I'm going to leave the door open. He's going to be one of our judges. He's flying in from Cali to be a part of our judge. Just a great young man, plays every instrument. But he submitted 4 of his songs that each of the bands get to choose from. And they have to arrange that song and play it during the competition, which is going to be aired live on ESPN3 and ESPN Plus, multicast on both of those platforms live. So it's great, and you never know who else may show up at this event. We've been hearing some rumblings, but we know that there's some big names attached to both of these universities, and it would not surprise me if we have some special guests.
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah, special guests from many different angles. I know where you're tangled, whether it's with the NCAA, all the bowl folks. I'm talking about big time bowls. They're around, NCAA officials. No telling, and that's just on that side. And then you add in the alumni, it can get special. We saw with Jackson State, North Carolina Central, and South Carolina State the last 2 years, what they brought to the table. Now it seems like as you push forward to be, it's becoming the place to be.
Exactly.
Which is certainly a thing of status, which is a good thing for this bowl. Charles, let me let you follow it with a question.
Yeah, and I want to ask this. Doc and I, we've been coming to the Celebration Bowl since its inception, but I don't think I've ever asked you this question. What is it like for you the week leading up to the game?
Organized chaos.
You got organized noise in Atlanta, and you got that organized chaos.
Organized chaos. We have it's actually rather exhilarating because the time it shows up really before you know it. You're working, you're planning, and before you know it, the team and I were just talking, and you're 5 days out, and now the team's arriving tomorrow. But it's kind of an exhilarating feeling, Charles, when you kind of see it all coming together. But like with any major event, you have to be flexible because things do ebb and flow. But today, just excited because all the branding started going up around the hotel today. So now you know it is real. Or last week or the week before, when I'm driving down the street and it's like, oh my gosh, there are our street banners on the poles around the stadium and all and up and down the street here, down the main corridor, Peachtree. So you can feel it in the air. Your phone starts to ring a lot from people that you don't hear from, but all of a sudden, hello, my friend, how are you? I was telling someone today, just to give a quick answer, I'm thinking of changing my voicemail like this time on my phone to say, thank you for calling John Grant. If you're calling for tickets to the Cricket Celebration Bowl, visit our website at www. If you're calling for credentials, I don't have any. Anything other than that, please leave a message. Because those are the calls you get.
I can imagine.
Tickets and credentials.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think HBCU homecomings on campus is a ticket requesting issue. Imagine what it hikes when you put a championship on it. Both for the band of the year and the football game between the MEAC and SWAC. With that being said, we're going to give you a chance to do what we do on our side. Talk a little bit about the matchup. Let's show out your skills. People don't hear this a lot. You talk about everything else, but people don't realize that you really get into these matchups. Obviously, you're not here to pick a side or talk about an outcome, but you can go in and talk about the matchups and what people can expect. From a journalist, sports journalist perspective, of what excites you about this matchup on the field on Saturday?
Because I think you're gonna see similar styles of football. The MEAC plays a different style of football from the SWAC, and we've seen that over the years. But I believe, in my mind, I think the reason that Florida A&M has had the success they've had in the SWAC is because of the style of football that they play. Great defense. They run the ball well. And then because they run the ball well, they're able to use their passing game and to do that effectively. And they're pretty good at stopping the run with their defense. Now, on the other side, when you're looking at Howard University, they have a trio of stellar running backs. So they are going to establish the run. And that, they make no bones about that they're going to establish the run to open up the field for their passing game. And then I don't think people probably recognize that Howard has a very solid defense. And I got to see that firsthand up close when I went to this North Carolina Central Howard game in Washington, where they just surprised me with how stout their defense was. And I was also when I went back the next following week when they played Morgan State, and how strong their offense seemed to, because Morgan has one of the best defenses in FCS, but yet they were able to effectively score as they needed to secure the win. So this is going to be a really, I think, reasonably matched game, pretty much equally matched in style. And in play. Both schools have great coaches who have a lot of experience. They both have a passion to win. And when I listen to interviews with the players, you can tell that they've instilled that in their players. So we're going to be in for some exciting football for this game, in my mind.
Yeah,
I can't wait because I think it's a great opportunity. It's really. Some people gonna probably when I say this, but it's almost like a reuniting of MEAC teams. Although Florida A&M has gone to the SWAC, but they're still playing MEAC football.
It's going to be interesting to see what they look like in terms of trenches in the matchup of the game. We're gonna clip that out so You just had
hey, that piqued my interest. Like,
I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm trying to.
They tell you can't ever forget where you came from. Doesn't change where you are. I mean, certainly where they are right now, they're strong representatives in the SWAC. But you got to keep in mind, they just got there last week.
Yeah.
So it's not like they've been there. It's not like they've been there for 10 years or whatever the case may be. If you look at it in terms of time, they were there last week, and they have established themselves in the conference in a very short period of time. So, I mean, it is what it is.
We know, we know John is HBCU when he brings that, because it's like folks talking about your freshman 15 for you get your SWAC hours, your HBCU hours, your MEAC hours. He challenged FAMU talking about they ain't got their SWAC hours yet. They basically got to win the championship to prove that they got their SWAC hours to come up. Now they can come above ground and put all their letters in the SWAC. Because I'm just going to say, last 2 years, but Jackson State stood in the way. But that's a whole different skill. Yeah, let me be nice and be careful before we get out of here. We got to get to this break.
Got their SWAC letters now.
Yeah, they got their SWAC letters now.
They got their SWAC letters now, right?
Yeah, they gonna take out the patch if they don't win. Boy, I tell you. With that being said, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We know you got a busy schedule, but we will give you any last extra statement that you want to make. Again, I was going to ask you this, but we don't want you to get in trouble. I was like, are you going to get into the basketball business? You got football, you got band, you had some concerts, entertainment. The only thing next is basketball, but we'll give you some time and we'll talk about that as we see you this week. But any last other parting words that you want to say?
The only thing I want to say, I want to thank all your viewers, and I can't thank you guys enough. I mean, for what you do for covering HBCU sports. We don't do this bowl game and the kickoff game or nothing that we do, Band of the Year, is successful without people who keep the lights on HBCUs. And you guys have been doing that without question. And I want to take my hats off to you for your commitment to bringing your analysis, your unique style of analysis, and educating the fans the way you do, also on the business side of sport, because, you know, that's important for us to know. Now that we have a professor who is testing, I'm in the area of HBCU history. Charles, I take my hat off to you for that. So I will close with that. Looking forward to seeing you guys in Atlanta. We know that you're going to be broadcasting live tomorrow here with your show. Is it tomorrow? No, Thursday. Thursday. I'm sorry. On Thursday with your show. We got that all set for you, and you're in a great spot to, you know, if you guys are here, make prime spot to broadcast live, and we're really excited about that. So thank you all so much for everything that you do to keep the lights on for us.
Thank you. With that, we'll be right back after this last break. We'll come back on the other side. Got an excellent interview with his executive director of the MEAC SWAC Challenge, as well as the ESPN Band of the Year. And finally, where the trophies will be raised on Saturday with the Cricket Celebration Bowl. John Grant, thank you for your time. We'll be right back after this next break.
Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah,
So you.
it is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
From non-press to analytics to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is out on assignment, and we'll make sure we prep him and get him all the information as he comes hard and heavy. Coming in on Friday, he'll be ready for the pregame show that we're talking about doing on BCSN inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium before the game on Saturday, man. Ooh, it's going to be nice. You're going to have all the key stakeholders that are associated with BCSN, including us with the Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Obviously, you have the crew with O&G Strike Zone. You have the crew with Brian and AD with Sports Rap. No other who you might see in there getting it done. It'll be a chance for us to reunite. With that being said, though, woo-wee, it's getting closer. It's that time. The matchup. Great comments coming from those checking us out on the lab in terms of the comments. Excited about that. I love folks going back and forth. MEAC, SWAC. It's in the air, all kinds of things. As I said, they talking about SWAC hours, MEAC hours, HBCU hours. It'll be tough. Well, y'all are not nice. It can be crazy in there. But let's get into this matchup a little bit before we close it out and get back to some of the art of the game and where you at with this matchup. We'll get a little more in terms of best wins, worst wins, if you would, on Thursday. So make sure you turn in to us. We'll get into some of the key players in more details for both sides, defense, offensive matchup. One of the things I asked coming out of the press conference on Thursday, having the opportunity to fly in and fly right back out this past Thursday, I asked the coach is how is ability when they can get going to really run the ball. Obviously, there are multiple on offense. They will put it up there, and they got some receivers that can make some plays. But when they're at their best is when they're able to run the ball. But you look at FAMU's defense in a lot of ways, their ability to stop the run has been really fruitful, particularly for a lot of the schools in the SWAC. You've already seen maybe that change in the guard in terms of folks making the move to be more prepared when they get into whether it's the MEAC SWAC Challenge, which they've been successful the last couple of years, but more importantly, at the end of the year in terms of Celebration Bowl, about running the ball themselves. So you hadn't seen the number of pass throwers in the SWAC over the last couple of years, other than Shador Sanders in terms of what he was able to do magically in the air. But you've seen a lot of people run the ball. But FAMU's been very effective about stopping the run. So that was my question about the movable force. Most coaches got into it and waxed poetically and talk about that's one of the matches. I think we'll get a chance to maybe go in that a little deeper. So I'm going to turn on the other side, offensively, if you would, for Florida A&M. Defensively for Howard, as you heard John Grant talk a little bit about. What are your general thoughts on that side of the ball? Obviously, Howard comes in 6-5 overall, 4-1 coming out of the MEAC. FAMU is 11-1 overall, 8-0 coming out of the SWAC. But when I pin it down to FAMU's offense versus Howard's defense, what are some of the key things that you'll be looking at when that side of the ball is on the field?
There's one matchup in particular that I'm really looking forward to. And FAMU has a receiver by the name of Marcus Riley. And for those of us here in the SWAC watching Marcus Riley this past season, he's cooked every defensive back that's been in front of him. He's a game changer. He's a game breaker. He's run back kickoffs. We saw in that SWAC championship game how he can get behind defenses. How he can get on top of DBs real quick. And you have for Howard defensive back Kenny Gallup, who I think will be playing on Sundays. So that is a matchup that I'm definitely looking forward to in terms of the speed of Florida A&M's receivers, particularly Marcus Riley going up against Howard's secondary, because I think that'll be a really good test for Howard. And I've said this on a many occasions. In a lot of ways, FAMU absolutely reminds me of 2022 Jackson State. One of the top defenses in the nation, one of the top offenses in the nation, and that you see that same template here with FAMU and the way that they ran through the SWAC this past season. So it's going to be a really good matchup.
You've seen Howard's defense, and as they got into conference play and close things down, they've been a little better, a lot better, I should say, in terms of what they're able to do defensively. When you look at some of the key components, you talk about Gallup and the chance that he play on Sunday, but you have some linebackers. Obviously, a lot of people's bugaboo for Howard is what happened against Hampton. Now, that was much early in the season. Obviously, you have time to get some of those things corrected. But gap integrity was the concern in that matchup. And we've seen over late that FAMU's been able to run the ball a little more efficiently, running back, particularly in the Florida Classic and the SWAC championship game, for being able to really run the ball more effectively than they had early in the season. Do you see anything of that make something that also you need to consider when you're talking about, one, the passing game? I like what you said there in terms of the wide receiver matchups and defensive back being able to get behind them, but a lot of that's going to be set up with the ability to run the ball and how the offensive line. So talk a little more about your inside, that part of the matchup on defense. The linebackers, the front seven, if you would, for Howard, I should say, the Bison going up against that offensive line in the running game. I'm sure that FAMU will try to at least get going early in that matchup.
And I've said that is one of the things that has been a concern of mine with regards to FAMU's offense, is their ability to run the ball. Although they have great running backs, nobody's rushed for more than 500 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So they do use an effective running game to kind of that really opens things up for their passing game, but yet still there hasn't been that signature breakout moment unless you're talking about the SWAC championship game where they were able to win the line of scrimmage and take care of business in regards to that game. But traditionally, when you take a look at the MEAC, their front seven has just given the SWAC for the most part fits. I mean, especially when you take a look, even just the past 2 years, South Carolina State, they dominated Jackson State in the trenches. Last year, same thing with North Carolina Central, not allowing Jackson State to get that running game up and going. And Jackson State has a 1,000-yard rushing. So those are things that really kind of stick out. That the front seven of the MEAC has traditionally just won the battle in the trenches. And that is something that to keep an eye on in regards to this game, because you can make a hard argument that Florida A&M's offensive line has been, if not the best, one of the best in the SWAC this season.
Oh, good points. I love when you talk about those offensive line and defensive fronts in terms of the mixing up the game within the game. Oftentimes, that's where games are won and lost. With that being said, last question I have for you is matchups. And this may be a little bit challenging because I always like to look at the opposing team that another team has played that's similar to the team that will play in this matchup. And that has a little bit of a challenge for me of trying to figure out what team that has played that may be similar, whether it's in terms of the size, competitiveness, if you would, or just the scheme that they play, and vice versa for FAMU. FAMU played this year. One of the things that I put out there, and we'll see what your thoughts on this from FAMU's side, I think it goes back in some ways maybe that first matchup of the season when they had against Jackson State. They had the ability to go over top, they had the ability to run the ball in terms of their skill set, had some speed out there. What are your thoughts in terms of that matchup when I look at, or is it some other team in the SWAC, maybe even Southern, you may be comparing them to? Who else, or is there another team that you would say closely resembles what FAMU has played in the SWAC or non-conference versus what you see for Howard?
That's a good question. In terms of a similar type team that FAM has played, that is a really good question. I think you can make an argument that the amount of talent in terms of Jackson State had a tremendous amount of talent on their team, even with the roster turnover, where I thought they had a very good front seven that could get to Jeremy Musa, but they weren't able to get to him in that game. FAMU was able to. To their credit, they jumped on Jackson State early. To their credit, they jumped on Prairie View early, and they were able to, rely on their running game after they jumped on them early. So I'm looking at something similar to that. If FAMU could get off to a very strong start, then you can integrate the running game a lot more into controlling the clock and things of that nature, much like they did throughout the course of the season. And we even saw that Texas Southern. Texas Southern was literally the only team that I thought was able to get hands on Jeremy Musa consistently, especially in that first half. And when they, maybe it was a drive right before halftime where FAMU just kind of figured it out. And then they got rolling, and the snowball started coming downhill, and then they were able to integrate the running game in the second half against Texas Southern. But Texas Southern had a very formidable front seven. If I'm going back thinking about it in terms of what they were able to do to FAMU's offense.
For Howard versus FAMU, it's a little fascinating to me because I got to break it down to two teams. I think offensively, what you see with North Carolina Central, maybe similar to what Howard sees with FAMU, but defensively, you're probably looking at Morgan State.
Yeah.
What Howard against them, similar to FAMU. So I don't know if there's one team that looks that similar. Maybe Harvard to some degree, maybe some components of Hampton in terms of that matchup. Sure. But I'm intrigued at that. Would you agree that you might have to put an offensive of one team and a defense of another team to start looking at particular matchups and say, hey, this team had the ability defensively, like Morgan State, to get you up front in terms of what they could do and then play you man with the wide receivers on the outside versus you tend to see an offense that's predicated on the run but has a strong quarterback when you look at North Carolina Central. What are your thoughts in terms of that for FAMU, Howard, in terms of that particular match?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of kind of mixed matching teams, if you will. Maybe taking a look at the strength in regards to Morgan State's defense, and then to be able to match up well with a North Carolina Central that where the quarterback was the focal point of that offense. I think that's a really good juxtaposition of teams in terms of what it is that FAMU could be looking forward to.
Well, certainly, I'm gonna let you get in there and finish up your packing. Don't want to get you in trouble. Make sure there's no late flights, no excuses on that. With that being said, we're gonna save some more of this football talk to Thursday, where we get in it hot and heavy when we're in there. It's good that we won't have Mike there for that, because you know how Mike gets when he gets in the bar. He'll forget that we got a show to do, and he's going to make sure that we started off right so we can be able to get through. I'm sure he'll be watching and teasing us out, and we'll welcome him on Friday to do what he needs to do. to get us through the weekend. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the college HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Check out X's and O crew. Erica, as she will be in representing Howard. BJ Jones, curator of HBCU. Joshua Sims, senior curator of HBCU Nightly. They have a lot of events that they have going on and planning for the excitement. We'll have a couple of special guests for our Thursday night show. Come in here and talk with you to give you some more insights, different perspective in terms of what that looks like. So again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, as you know, and on Sundays at 9. We haven't had our last couple of Sundays as we're traveling. That's a part of what we'll be doing because I'll get out of Atlanta on Sunday morning, head to Las Vegas so I can get in a little bit of the Chris Paul HBCU Basketball Classic. I'll get to see day 2, so I'll be able to get you some inside reports in terms of that basketball tournament. We'll be watching that Saturday evening after we wrap up the big-time game and see who comes home with the HBCU championship. And will it come to the SWAC? Will FAMU be able to represent for the SWAC and bring it home since Grambling did it the second game? Or will MEAC and Howard get their first trophy and continue to rein it in for the MEAC to get it done? Follow me as we look forward next Thursday to give you a big show. We'll open it up Saturday morning, and then we'll carry it to that evening. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'll also be on Radio Row on Saturday, so we'll get you that information as well. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook and YouTube, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, on Twitter, Inside the HBCU Lab 1. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Horse.
Roy?
Lecture.
Dismissed.